Well, that's our top 8. They qualify for this through the individual competitions. And Shauna, when we look at the list of athletes, although it's important here, there are more opportunities for these athletes to qualify in the future. And we're looking at Boulder number 1. We read these routes earlier on. We can see the 25, the 5, 10 and 25. And Shauna, this kind of a boulder, what have the athletes got ahead of them on this?
This kind of boulder, it's powerful. It's a lot of difficult moves on really bad holds, and I know that might sound obvious, but sometimes we see good holds on the wall where the moves are maybe more wild. This does have some dynamic movement in it in the middle section, and then it's really intense climbing all the way to the end. You cannot let up. Bad footholds, bad holds. It's going to be wild.
Finals. The top 3 will go through to the Olympics. Paul Jenft is out from France, and we get to see these boulders in action for the first time as Paul stretches towards that 5 zone.
Could see Paul, he went to reach for that 5 zone, realised he couldn't quite make it, and then opted for a more dynamic method, which is what the route setters intended, and he sticks the really dynamic move in the middle. First try here, a great first attempt for Paul, getting that 10 zone with no trouble.
He would have got a minus 0.1 if he had fallen off. He'll get the full 10, and now he's aiming for a 25. If he can do it without falling, he'll get the full points. If not, it'll be minus 0.1, and we'll keep you updated on those scores. And Paul with a massive drop knee there.
A really good display of flexibility, getting his foot so high and being able to twist and turn into that drop knee. His left foot is not on anything very good, but he's making it work for him, standing super high, missing a hold, going to the 25. He's got one hand on it, but he explodes off. We see him pulling back on with 2 minutes to go. I'm surprised he didn't rest longer here.
Yeah, he got all the beaters, so he knows the moves. I think he might be trying to get a couple of goes in before it goes down. Straight into the 10, 2 strong shoulder moves there.
He looked really smooth coming into that paddle jump, so he hit the first hold really well, hit the 10 super accurately. We see him starting to fight here as he's matching into this undercut. He's going to step his foot right again, I expect. He's flipped his right hand, so leaving his feet to the side, and there we see that really awkward high foot.
Yeah, again, that massive drop knee. Will he try to skip the hold? He can't get there this time.
Needs to make those top holds feel good.
So he goes again with 27 seconds on the clock. Looking great on that left hand. Into the jump once more, but just held it that time. He's got a jib with the right hand, a small hold that's screwed on to the bigger hold.
Such a powerful move. You can see him now having to fight in that position, showing that he is fatigued after those first few attempts. The clock counts down and he doesn't actually get time. Both the lead and the boulder final, showing just how impressive it is for, it's so impressive to be at that level in both disciplines, just showing how strong and prepared he is for this competition. Just like that, sticking that move, no bother, a big swing from his legs. It didn't matter because he had such good contact strength hitting that hold. He could hold the swing quite easily, it looked like.
Yeah, and a little bit of a different method, pressing off with the left.
But again, stepping that foot up really high, but he's dropping the other knee here.
We will have 2 athletes climbing at the same time on 2 different boulders.
He knows this bottom section. He's repeating it really smoothly, looking calmer and calmer as every attempt goes. He's reaching out to the right now. That hold is really slopey. There isn't anything in there. There's no extra hold. He's opting for the high foot again. He's going to try and drop that knee, hit that hold a lot more accurately, is what I expect from Adam on this next attempt.
All right, he goes again. A little reset, and yes, as you said, straight in. Much better from Adam. Eyes up the shoulder move. Drops that as well. You can give yourself a lot of work to do in lead, and we saw how important high scores are in Boulder last night for the women. So Adam needs to keep focused, keep pushing, and a different method with the foot that time, but still.
There's a few corrections he can make here, and he's able to do them, so I hope we see him stick this 10.
So Adam goes again, less than a minute now. This is better from him.
And you saw that his arms were bent. He was so much higher in his shoulders, and it was a really good effort for him to make those adjustments after some not very successful attempts. And we see him setting up for this last move. He looks really high, see his arms really bent into his bicep, and he's going to have to slap hard into this 25, but he does one hand. He needs to if he wants those points.
Yeah, he's got to match it, and he can't match it.
But however, they do count for separation a lot of the time. Nice to see him figure that out. I'm surprised it took him so long, but really great learning from him on this boulder.
Yeah, Jakob's bouldering as he hits the 10 first of all, and he's in now. So we'll talk about this, then I'll talk about his bouldering. But he holds that jib, and that's the screw on I was talking about, onto the volume. So it just gives a little bit more grip for the athletes.
And we can see now just how bad that right hand hold is. There's nothing in there to make it better. It's sloping, it's open. We see that high feet now, but only stepping the foot up once he's up on his arms. One hand onto the 25. Can he make it to? We saw Adam fall here. We know it isn't an easy match. And Jakob, he's having to fight for this, but he doesn't want to let go.
No, he doesn't. And then at the top, when he knew, a little relax, a flick of the wrists.
So Jakob, the stadium erupted when he hit that 25 and his hand came into match. It erupted even more. I don't think it's possible for the athletes behind the wall to not know about what just happened. They aren't allowed to know the scores until the end of this round, but the eruption in the arena is going to give it away, I think. So there's two things at play here. There's the athletes who didn't get the top, who know that Jakob probably does have that, and there's the athletes to come out. The mind games that are weighing on those athletes right now are significant, and also the mind games for Jakob pushing down on these athletes as they're trying to climb up the wall.
All that is going on in their minds. Jenft pulls onto the slab. We saw it on our 3D there. Her bad feet, as you can see on the left. The boulder goes from right to left. Oh, and Paul nearly overbalancing. And a slightly different style here, Shauna, because a slab, you need to be good in your feet, and it's all about being precise with good balance.
Yeah, it's all about the hips, as I say very often, slab climbing especially. If you watch how he's moving his hips over to the left to be delicate with that foot placement, really quick work from Paul here as he nears the 25 on his very first attempt. He reaches one finger and two. This is quite a Tomoa style boulder, one might say. He loves to do the dynamic and the flare moves. He's not done it on his first attempt, which is interesting, but we see him now looking smooth here.
Yeah, he's up and through, and he starts this shoulder sequence. Cuts loose, hits the right foot, and again, he wants to bring that left up, but struggling as he tries to get some friction with the right hand.
What I think we saw Jakob do really well here is get a lot of height. He stood really, really tall. He slapped into this 25, and now the right foot, it's all about where this right foot goes in order to stick that. Jakob was able to bump his short bag straight away. Who knows, but a fire nonetheless. He was straight out of there, but quickly back on.
Yeah, so a bit of a mistake from Tomoa, much better this time as he hits the swing, and real aggressive climbing from him at the end.
Yeah, a different approach there. Tomoa often climbs high risk, which will play in his favour with this format. His attempts are less important, but still, they do count. And we see him bump that foot up and get lots of height here. He's twisted his left wrist to get a better hold. Left hand is on the 25. He needs to move that right foot, I think, if he wants to match it. But he moves his left foot, and then his right foot is going to hopefully come in somewhere and do something. That was really smart climbing.
A former Olympian. He qualified in his school holiday, in fact, when he got in. But that's behind him now, full-time athlete. And Dohyun Lee is on the slab as he brings his right hand up to hit the first 5 on the first time of asking. So maximum low zone points for him. Trusting that left foot as he stands up on it, and then he starts this padding over on volumes that look big, but they're hard to stand on.
You can see him reaching down there for that teeny tiny hold. He's crimping with just 1 or 2 fingers as he's moving his feet around and trying to figure out how to step his foot down to the little black hold that is in the purple. And you can see a couple of black holds together. They're just stacked up to make that hold more positive to stand on, but still it is so tiny and not the best hold.
So Colin swings into the 10. Dohyun approaches the 25, the top of the wall. He can't use the edge of the wall. It's marked with black tape. You can see it there on the edge of your screen. He matches, and it's another top of Boulder 2. He'll leave the stage, and we'll be left with Colin, who's fighting hard in the middle part of this boulder.
Different approach from Colin there, just 1 foot on, just the right foot. All the athletes we've seen have both feet high and was able to execute well in both boulder and lead. He's been ramping up towards this event all season, and he's mega psyched. Things are clicking together at the right time.
There we go, it's all about peaking, isn't it? That left ankle, you can see strapped up there. It's an earlier injury that has been niggling away at him and explains some of his performances earlier on in the season. Right, he rotates his feet through, hits the right, bumps up really straight, no drop knees in there.
No, and looking for a left foot, he gets it in by his hand, reaches up to the 25, but not enough height. He wouldn't stand up onto that left foot because all his weight is going through the right foot, and the right hand that he's got is so terrible, he's not able to pull on it. He's really going to have to drive through that left leg if he wants to make that method work.
So Colin goes again, up to the 5, hits the 10, he's keep on climbing. Lots of power being used here from Colin as he matches once more, and he knows he's got to be quick here. Maybe looking for 2 attempts if this one goes wrong. Goes for the splits. Now he turns the knee a little. Misses the left, and this is going to be draining his power with 10 seconds to go. Left again, and that will be it for him.
He's going to be wanting to push and give everything he can tonight, as are all the guys out here. But we've talked about pressure, and interestingly, if we look at Adam on M2 now, the last 2 athletes coming out on flashing this and just adding that pressure on, and I think we can see it mounting as Adam starting to struggle with his first few attempts, but he's really getting stuck in now.
Yeah, he needs to be confident with his movements here. Of course, Adam has been on the scene for a long time, and experience does count for something. It's like youth versus experience sometimes, you know. Do you like the new school style of climbing like Toby does, or are you someone like Adam who can got all that to fall back on, to pull on his experience? And look how small that hold is. He's just got his fingertips on it. Creeping his left foot down. Now he's on top, and then he slid it down to that hold, which is good. But he's going to do this quite dynamically, I think, and everyone else has gone super slow here. Oh, but he hits the fall over to the left, makes the match, and that's 25 for Adam.
But to come back after flustering on the start a couple of times, it was really good to see Adam find his flow there.
Yeah, so Adam leaves, job done for him. Toby still has to fight on, and he's got just under 2 minutes to do it. And
he was really struggling to hold the jib, so on the second hold on the 10 zone, and then when he did stick it, his arms were bent. He was so much higher. So Toby needs to gain a lot of height here, through his legs, into his hips, and then pull on that first hold, stick the second.
So we'll have to see for time. Big moment for him as he pulls on once more. Hits that coordination pop.
I mentioned that Dohyun Lee was one of 2 athletes that was in both of our single discipline finals with lead and Boulder. Sorato is the other athlete, and showing there why he was in that final.
Yeah, he's been on everyone's lips this week for one of the potential here. And whereas with some athletes you wonder about nerves, I'm not sure with Sorato. He just seems so calm the whole time. And look at this on his flash go. He's 1 move away from a full 25. Just needs to match now. Trying to find that right arm, but he drops it.
You say just needs to match, making it sound simple.
It's easy, it's easy. Just bring your hand in, for goodness sake.
You could see he was palming really hard with the right hand and trying to compress between those 2 holds. I do think he needs to make some changes to where his feet are there to get that match. But we see Jakob now making his way through the slab. Jakob openly admits he's not the biggest fan of slab climbing, so the fact that he's already in the 10 is great from him. And we're seeing him start to work his body to the left in order to get that foot. He's going to go hand down first, and then he's going to use that, even though it is so tiny, to step the left foot across when he feels in a position where he's comfortable to do that.
Right, creeping that foot down, hits the hold. Good work from him. And you can see the rubber on the bottom of his shoe, and he wipes his left hand as well. Trying to get any sweat and moisture off for possible. He knows how precise this next move is. And if he's going to go dynamically, you've got to hit that jib you can see up there, or you want to anyway. But he's not, he's creeping into it. Gets it now as Sorato swings into our screen.
We know that the slab climb, it was set to go dynamically, and we've not seen many athletes do that yet, but it looks like Jakob is setting up to do that. He hits it with one hand. Really impressive back step for him. That was beautiful climbing from Jakob on a slab. Not his favourite, but his second top of the round. Jakob is having a great night.
So he's chalking up, approaching in, and that sort of calmness you can see in his face. Although he's working hard, he doesn't look particularly flustered most of the time.
And making light work of this start, being able to repeat it every single time.
Right, we know how close he got before. It looks like he's going to go left first. He does, but now it leaves you a hard foot move and he drops down. That's better from him, but he's got to work out the feet in that position. Well, I think we're going to get a scoreboard again. So Jakob currently leading the way, 49.7. Remember, this is out of a maximum 100. And we won't see the maximum score because everyone has dropped a few attempts along the way. Dohyun Lee in second and Paul Jenft third. But do remember that, as we can see, we're seeing another boulder. So it's hard to 100% know who's winning at that moment. Now, this boulder, apparently the easiest one out there, and yet on the steepest bit of wall. And for people who are new to comp climbing, that's a sort of confusing concept. You'd think the steeper it gets, the harder it gets, but not always the case.
Definitely not always the case. Sometimes, often not the case in competition climbing. We know the athletes are capable of climbing very physical, powerful boulders, and we know the route setters are great at setting and testing their abilities on all angles.
So the setter's trying to get a range of boulders out there. So Paul pulls on to M3. Those starting holds indicated by the green lines. That's one limb per line. And look how complicated that stacked series of holds are coming up. They're no texture and they're to prevent a toe hook, although he's trying it. But feet first through there wasn't intended.
It wasn't. They're actually to prevent a toe hook later on, so at the end of the climb, but working well to prevent a toe high from Paul there. It's a complicated series of movements through this middle section that Paul's on right now. He wants his hands the other way around. Ideally, if he's to make this next move, that was what was intended. But we know the athletes often try to figure out their own way. And Paul here, you can see flicking his hands around. Tomoa, on the other hand, making very light work of that slab. And suddenly, that slab is a crucial 25 points to gain on the wall on that attempt. Take all that information in, climb as efficiently as possible to the point where you fell off and figure out what to do, whether that's on the mat or on the wall, and deciding all of that in such a short amount of time.
This time he reaches again with that toe in and kind of cam it. So he's got a similar position, but you can see no feet available here.
He is using a really good heel hook. You can see he's locked his foot in against the wall, making it up to that 10, an important 10 points, but I'm not sure if he can get out of it. He's looking to try and hand jam. Worth a go, but I don't know if it's going to work. He's moved his hand back onto the 10 zone. He just looks in such an awkward position. He's fighting, he's trying to kick that foot up and do whatever he can to get out of it. In the semi-final, we saw Paul get an 84.3 in Boulder and a 42 in lead, so suggesting that he's feeling much better in Boulder potentially, but he's going to need to get more points on the board if he wants to do the same thing again.
Yeah, and he's doing a similar method. I mean, he got close to it. Up with that, and he is pressing his knuckles into the no-tech surface, palm or fingertips into the zone hold. So awkward on the shoulders though as he's twisting it around.
He wrote on his social media that he was in the combined finals. He was only one of two athletes in this final to have made both the lead and Boulder single discipline finals, so I'm not sure many people were surprised, but Dohyun seemed to be.
Now we're in Korea at the beginning of the season. We filmed some content in Jongwon Chon's gym. Oh, look at this, a figure four. A move coming from ice climbing, kind of wrapping it around. I'm not sure. Oh, there we go, it works. That's amazing.
I was shaking my head in disbelief there that I didn't think that was going to work, but wow, that was really impressive from him to see that and execute it, make it work. But now it is not over. There's a hard match. He needs to get both hands where his right hand is. He tried to get that toe hook in, clever setting to prevent that on such a big hold. He's toe hooking the volume as he comes into match. The last hold is good, but he needs to not swing too much. He didn't quite get the height, but wow, that was a great effort from him and really fun to watch.
One of those attempts where the route setter just goes, you know what, it's one of those things, because that was outside of the box thinking from Dohyun Lee. And we're watching Colin Dufy as he attempts to get that foot on, but as you can see, really low on the hold, and it made that stretch to the left quite difficult.
Yeah, but what he did there was quite clever. He leant really far to the right, taking all of his weight onto his right foot and then slowly edging to the left to get that left foot out and in control.
He's going really dynamically into this. Oh, the full lean casual before he matches it. That's a good top from Colin Dufy, helping his score, moving him up here. Because the way he tried to do that before was pretty exhausting, really powerful with that fig four.
I don't agree. I think it was quite efficient for him because it meant that he wasn't hanging around for very long. Yes, it wasn't the sequence intended, but look, he's shaking out in that fig four. I think he's pretty comfortable there.
Yeah, he's making it look good, isn't he? Well, standing up now on the slab and much better as well into the crimps. He had a toe hook in before, which made the swing quite hard to release. He's choosing to have his feet lower this time.
He has a right toe hook in, which is allowing him to match, but it is going to be hard to release. We see him flick up, and we know that hold is good if you hit it in control without a swing. That toe hook just pulling him off a little bit there. He now only has 38 seconds on the clock. It's not a lot of time. It's quite a physical boulder, although he's climbing efficiently, but without a rest, it's going to be hard for him to get back up there. I do hope we get to see him attempt this last move again, though. Yeah,
he didn't rest long. 25 seconds on the clock, hits it again. Oh, falls down with it underneath. High foot, perhaps. Like Toby, he needed to go away and recompose, and this is the perfect opportunity to do that because he has to slow down a bit on this slab.
He does, and he's been open about the fact that he's been working on slab climbing because he's lost some competitions to slabs, but he's looking composed here, and Adam is fighting through this roof.
Yeah, he got a heel in down low, which steadied him. He's into the high zone, and Adam looking more comfortable here than Dohyun Lee did.
Both athletes approaching the 25. Toby opting for a right hand there, just pinging off a different method to what we've seen other athletes do, but he did look confident. Meanwhile, Adam sets up for the top hold, left toe hook in. They did not prevent Adam Ondra from toe hooking. Look what that means. Look how excited he is.
Well, he knows how important it was. He was drifting a little behind up to that point. Volume, one on there. And I didn't see the starting position, but whatever it wasn't quite right.
He just wouldn't have tapped or touched the third tape, so he would have probably pulled on matching. An easy mistake to make, especially with all of the distraction going on. Toby is definitely gaining so much experience throughout these competitions, and you can see that he was pulled off by the judge, but straight back onto this final move. So really good that he's able to recompose, but a little slip there, almost saved it. He needs to do it to stay in the race, so he does really need to focus on that composure right now.
Yeah, you get the feeling he needs a top to settle him down here, so let's see if he can do it this time. Left foot up, screwing that in, lots of rubber on the hold. Heels down as he steps over, matches the zone, but it's this move he's falling on at the moment. Ooh, nearly went again there, saved it with the right palm. Laser focused on that next series of holes, but you've got to trust.
He ideally needs to bring his right hand down a little bit so he's got the length step his left foot. You saw that slight adjustment with the right hand, giving him enough space to go to the left foot hold. We've seen all athletes that stuck this last hold go with the left hand. Toby opted with the right first attempt. It looks like he's maybe going to do the same thing again.
Oh, creeping over with the right hand. He's about a foot away from this. Hits it, but just changing hands would make all the difference. And I don't think he's seen it yet.
Athletes going with their left hand were able to create tension between their hand and their feet in order to keep really parallel with the wall. Some athletes opting to step their foot back to stop the barn door, whereas because Toby's going with the right hand, he's not able to do that.
So he bumps into the 10 again. Makes the match. He's got this as his last go, and he really needs to figure out this left hand or find some magic with the right. 15 seconds.
A great effort getting to the last move as the clock's clicking down. I really hope we see him get to that 25 as he sets up, reaches.
Just 5 seconds left on the clock, and that will be the top for Toby. This final a little earlier than the women's last night. And Sorato stands up, and we get our first look at him on this. So left foot out, so far no problems, and that high zone beckoning as he hits it with the left hand, and he'll get the points here.
Sorato looking smooth. It almost looks like pressure doesn't exist for this guy. I wonder if he gets nervous. I would love to ask him. Maybe I will. We're in the same hotel. Every breakfast, just looking calm and casual, just as he is here on this slab. A smooth transition with his hips. I talk about hips a lot. That was a great demonstration of how to use movement efficiently and effectively. Meanwhile, Jakob nearing the 25 on his first attempt, I believe. But what can he do? Can he make the toe hook work where the setters have tried to stop him?
Yeah, he wants it in, doesn't he? He has made it work, so he's camming it in, pressing the rubber into the top of the hold, and look at this from Jakob. He's just broken. I mean, the reason they stacked those holds was to prevent that. Jakob found a way. So he's on 74.7, then Adam 59.5, then Tomoa Narasaki 49.7. Followed by Dohyun Lee, he's in the 40s, 45. Below him, Paul Jenft, Sorato Anraku, although he's coming back, Toby Roberts, sorry, Colin Dufy, then Toby Roberts.
Number of points that he got, and it also is very exciting going into the final boulder or going into the lead route, because suddenly as the round progresses you get more of an idea of how important it is to get the amount of points and where an athlete needs to get on the route to get into the podium or to get an Olympic spot, and also for watching semi-finals to get into the finals. It changes the way we view the sport, I think, but it makes it very exciting, and it's definitely making me better at maths.
It is indeed. We had the calculators out last night, and yeah, people are enjoying this format, and I like it because it changes climbing. We're on men's 4 here, more coordination style as we watch Tomoa Narasaki work his way through this boulder. Again, a little different with the beta, which is really cool to see, but this part fairly similar. Right foot underneath in the toe hook, matching that hold, bumping over to the right, and he's got a big move up, and he's got to cut that toe. Flicks it out, holds it, good finger strength, and again, Tomoa with the big screen. This boulder means a lot to these athletes.
It really does. In less than a minute, Tomoa showing how important it is to fight, and wow, Paul making the last move, making such good use of toe hooks the whole way through that climb.
Dohyun Lee is on the bottom of this boulder, so good chance to check it out. And it is all coordination this, so he drops into it, hits it. Colin goes feet loose through that move. And now what's he going to do here? So bicep-y to pull up on that left arm.
It is, but he's got the high foot, and because he got that high foot, he was able to come and pull into the bicep. Both athletes on the 10 right now and looking for the 25 on their first attempt.
Yeah, Dohyun starts to swing. He wants to land, hits it precisely, holds the second swing. And from here, as long as he can figure out the feet, and it is a fairly easy match. He didn't use any feet, so ignore what I was saying. But Colin is trying to use feet, and what's he going to do?
Dohyun almost looking disappointed with that climb. I wonder if it felt easier than maybe he wanted. Colin get the toe hook in and proving to the route setters that these guys, doesn't matter how much you block a toe hook, they will make it work. And that 25 point, best position that felt right in order to get into the movement, into the transition move. So he's going to be going from a really good position because the jug's so good, into through a awkward, but into a good jug as well. Toby starting to stand up. He bumped his left foot up there. Like I said earlier, if he can bend his arms, step up with his feet, he's going to feel much better. I think he's crimping the no texture stack with his right for a second there. We see him reach up now. He's got a lot of pressure on him, but he's looking really controlled right now. He wants these points to get back in the running, so he's going to need to climb really well through this last move, which we know is definitely droppable, but we do see him take the toe hook up. He's making it work, one hand on the 25. He needs to get the points, but he is fighting right now.
He is, and he makes the match. Good work from Toby Roberts. As he waves to the crowd, he comes down.
And knowing it's possible, the pressure, waiting, he'll have heard the screams from the tops. A really mature performance from Toby.
He's done, he's gone. Adam's left alone, hits the 5, hits the swing over. This is great from Adam as he goes up. Right, one more big swing to go. He needs to kick off that blue volume, then land on it as he goes. Comes in, hits the end, and we know it should be fairly simple from here, and it is for Adam. That's a top for him.
Really hard to make these boulders as perfect as possible. They do such a great job, and we are enjoying watching them tonight.
We are. Sorato is in. Let's see what he does. Oh, now he's done this method, and this is what they intended. So we're seeing something, and they said there was multiple methods, of course, but Sorato getting it done the way they thought it was, and it did look easier that way.
It did look easier. We know that it's supposed to be the easier method, twisting through that lower section, and the crowd love to see it. It makes a great picture. Sorato not opting for the high toe just yet. He may change, but it looks like he's going to flick. He has climbed this boulder exactly how the route setters intended. I think he's made them very happy, so thank you, Sorato.
Quick top from him, and Jakob is in as well. He's got the high zone, swings out with the foot, and he's starting this swing over towards the right. Now, we haven't seen many people drop it from here. Let's see what Jakob can do. He hits it, And it will be a fantastic round here for Jakob Schubert. That is 4 out of 4, and he's way out into the, well, it'll be upgraded.
That guy's going to be feeling so good right now, but he needs to keep it under control. He's got a lead route to go where he knows he can perform, but we also know that mistakes can happen, especially in lead, with only one attempt on that route.
99.6. Adam Ondra after that with a 4 done on 84.1, whereas Dohyun Lee has 70 with the 4, and Paul Jenft 69.8. Those are the athletes who have climbed. And look at this from Tomoa, super smooth through here.
We talked earlier about the new school style. I feel like it's maybe not so new school because Tomoa feels like he invented it. This boulder is something that we would normally expect him to be cruising through. Very aggressive into that final swing. Maybe too aggressive, but he made it work with the fast hands.
To prepare these athletes for these big pressure moments.
Yeah, and USA already gaining an Olympic spot in speed. So yeah, they've had a busy few days, that's for sure.
Colin immediately flowing through, and he's good at these kind of sequences too. This new school style you mentioned. Sata's challenging the athletes in their coordination as well.
A little hesitation here, maybe not quite feeling the right setup and feeling as comfortable as he'd like. And it almost seems to unsettle the athletes because it's such a comfortable hold. They don't want to let go of it. But I think we'll see him make a big adjustment and look much more comfortable in that setup. He does. He's way faster into it. Hits the high yellow, palm on the blue triangle, and just choking up one-handed on the 10.
Casual as you like from Colin Dufy. He starts the swing, tick-tocking back right to left. Huge swing, hits the final hold. And another little cut loose as he gets the big high toe. And that's another top on Boulder 4.
People often talk about if a boulder's topped by everybody, it almost doesn't count. In my opinion, it counts more because the one person that doesn't do it, or if one person doesn't do it, then it really matters.
Yeah, and look at that scoreboard. Everyone getting it so far with the athletes who have attempted it. So as you said, pressure mounts on Toby here as he takes a moment to figure out the feet. Awkward press, but it works, so that's good. And into the bottom hold.
Yeah, turning our heads there as he went for that move. Not the intended method, but making it work for him, and that's all that matters.
So he's in, he goes back to the left to readjust.
Using their arms to gain momentum as well as their legs. I don't know if we'll see Toby change this up. I hope we do, because this setup position here is much better for the next movement. He needs to pull, hit, and stick.
Good
and
work.
He does.
Yeah, that was well done from Toby. Good learning, and he's into the 10 now. So points on the board, but he has to get this done, really. Hits the left, hits the right. From here, it should be okay. He makes the match. That is a top for Toby. And GB fans out there can breathe a sigh of relief. So we're waiting for that to come through. But the times will be adjusted a little bit for lead later on, but we'll talk about that when Sorato is finished, because right now he's trying to figure out this first move. Hits it nicely, drops down to the 5, and he sets up in the traditional manner perhaps for this move.
Wow, and a different method for Sorato there, but he made it work for him. Such quick hand movements, really aware of his body. Smooth climbing from Sorato here.
Yeah, he comes over, hits the final hold, and that's going to be a flash for Sorato. Maximum points at the end of our round. Sorato finishes things off, and here they are. So Tomoa Narasaki leading the way, 99.7, huge from him. Jakob with that 99.6. Sorry, Jakob, and then Sorato after that with an 85. And then from there, Colin Dufy, Adam Ondra, Toby Roberts, Dohyun Lee, and Paul Jenft. But everyone pretty much in touch, at least down to athlete number 5.
We see lots of athletes with binoculars, some kind of reading the route with their arms in the air, some staying quite quiet, some talking to other athletes, especially when there's teammates. We do see athletes grouping together. We've got 2 Japanese athletes in here, but all of the other nations, it's just them from their nation. So it's fascinating to watch what goes on that stage, but we get a great look at the route right now. Looks easy, but it's not. That's the start. Then coming into the power and slippage section, which means they might see some slips, feet skinning around potentially, really starting to zap their arms. Such a powerful section coming up. Lots of core strength required to move through that. And then we have the classic Fight Club. The head wall, we'll mention that it is the last section of the wall, so these yellow and black holds that you can see here.
Where they're qualifying, and we might find out, as we did last night, halfway through, that an athlete has made it. So we'll try to keep up with it. But meanwhile, Paul pulls onto the wall, and you can see him clipping the rope through quick draws that are hanging down. That's to protect the climber if they fall. They have to clip them all, and they must do so in order. And you can see there, he's made the first 3 fairly easily. And as the description said, looks easy, but ain't, or something, whatever it said, but he's safely through the purples, whatever, and into the crimps on the black volumes.
And it's deceptive often with lead climbing because, like the description said, it can look easy sometimes, but what the route setters will do is they'll put the holds on at angles to just make the positions more uncomfortable and force the climbers to have to climb incredibly efficiently and effectively. We've seen throughout this entire competition mistakes are very much punished, so these athletes needing to climb and read the route very well.
You can see how the scoring works now. On the left, lead is added to Boulder, and we have a total in blue. Oh, Paul nearly dropped that move.
You could see in his right hand, he didn't quite know how to hold that hold. This section here, the hold, suddenly looking really uncomfortable.
He is, and he's low down at the moment. Big drop knee as he drops in. And he needs to make that clip as well. He's kind of gone past it, and it's really awkward. Now, you can hold it like that. You can't pull on it, but you can grab it.
Yeah, so the clips hanging down are quick draws. You can grab it to clip the rope into it. Usually we see like this where he pulls the rope up and clips it in. They need to clip these in order, and he's done so far, but he's starting to look like he's having to fight. This section, it's crimpy. The holds are not very in-cut. They are quite rounded. He's wrapping his hand around the volume there, just trying to get the most efficient rest that he can. But we know the route setters have been really mean because they haven't given very obvious resting positions, and where there are better holds, the feet are terrible.
Yeah, and Paul nearly went again there, feet kicking backwards. He's only about halfway up here and moving on to scoring point 30 there on the wall. And although he is at the top of the leaderboard now, look at all those athletes to come, and you can see why we're concerned that he's had a few moments down low.
Yeah, the next hold that he will hit is the 30, so he has that now. He needs to be swinging his feet to the right. He's got a toe hook in. I expect we'll see him make this clip before he starts to climb down, but he's really struggling to keep tension through that feet, and we lose him there.
Moment becoming a real nation to watch in the climbing scene.
And I've talked about the fact that we saw Dohyun in both the Boulder and the lead final in the single discipline, finishing on the podium, 3rd in Boulder and just off the podium in 4th in lead. He isn't a specialist in either. He's incredibly good at both disciplines, so we know he can perform to the best possible level on this climb, but can he do it right now?
And you talked about the crowd and how it changes things. Since Paul's fallen, this crowd has gone silent. They are just tense in their seats as they watch this.
Yeah, which I do think gives a lot of weight to the athlete, very much suggesting that these moves are maybe not as hard as he might have thought when reading the route, but definitely suggesting he doesn't need much encouragement. Every now and then they kind of give a little bit away. As soon as he nears the high point, so where Paul fell off, the crowd will start to erupt and really want to see him push through that. So he'll very much get a feel for where Paul came off and what happened. Whether he's aware of that or not, or he's totally absorbed in his own climbing, we'll have to ask him himself, but it is hard to ignore the crowd like this because they are electric.
And he makes that move that Paul did look a little easier. Still a sort of bouncy move into the left.
But again, similar to Paul, not quite sure of how to hold this right hand. He made a decision much quicker. He's got a big drop knee in now, and he's going to take that clip. You can just see here how slopey those holds are. They're not in-cut, so the climbers having to squeeze really hard to hold onto them. They can't relax or let up at any time. A foot slip or a hand pop will see them off the wall, and they don't want that. Climbing purposefully, accurately, and really, really considered is so important in lead climbing.
So that's where Paul fell before. And Dohyun is looking a little more comfortable here on these moves. This is where Paul had that sort of desperation wraparound. You can see the chalk deliberately left there by the setters just to show where the athletes are going. And he comes up to the underclink, crosses through, and 30 beckons above his head. It's the jib up there with the right hand. For a moment he popped a foot, but now he's got toes in.
and making that clip. It's really important that the climbers get that clip in early, because the next section they will climb down. If they forget to clip, they would have to climb back up again. So he's got that in and he moves to the section. The crowd may be suggesting he's got the new high point, he's almost there, and he's working his way through these holds. They look very big, they look good. We know some of them are good, but the ones that are have very terrible feet, so making them feel not as good as they want to be on that roof section here. This wall is 40 degrees overhanging. I don't think it looks that steep, so it's worth remembering. It's hard to actually see how steep it is when these climbers are on the wall. Watch the way his chalk bag is hanging down. You can see it's so steep, that wall. These holds are not going to be feeling very good right now.
They aren't, and he's climbed all the way down. Now he's climbing all the way up, so he's pretty much where he started on that 30, but the moves do count here. So a nice little feature there put in by the route setters, and he throws over with the left.
And keeping the foot, suggesting he's feeling really good. We were expecting much more of a dynamic movement into that hold, but he is looking really smooth. A high heel for the lower clip, which he didn't take earlier on, and I expect we'll see him clip the next one from this position as well. He might have a little shakeout first though.
Yeah, it's a good spot that. He reached way down left to clip that in. So, by intention or not, Dohyun has the clip in from that position. And he's just below the head wall here, as you can see from this wide shot from the camera panning across on cables. Dohyun will shake out here for as long as possible. He has got time on the clock. And getting some reaction from the crowd as well. 1 minute 57. And he's in the lead with 1:27, so lead added to Boulder.
But a big fumble of that clip there. He pulled the rope up, tried to clip it in, didn't get it. So suggesting he's not feeling as comfortable as he might have been looking initially. The next hold is worth 60 points, so if he can reach up to that and get it, he'll be in the 4-point scoring zone.
I thought he might have been short rope there, but I think it was just the angle he was pulling the rope at, because he couldn't get much purchase on it, but he gave it a tug a few times, so I don't think that was a belaying thing. I think it was just the position he was in. And there is the next scoring zone with the pink on the jib, and Dohyun is struggling to get out of this. Hasn't got the reach on it.
Reaching up, not quite making the distance. Great that he's able to save that, but really suggestive of how he might be feeling on the wall right now. Not able to give as much as he needs to make that move, and we see him just falling short of that hold. Different demands on their body, but regardless, they have to pull on that wall when it's their attempt. They can't wait until they feel a little bit better. They have to sit in the chair, tie on, and be ready to go as soon as the athlete before them has finished their attempt. So very much different to an experience for most climbers that go to the wall, and maybe if they're not feeling it or they want to rest a bit longer. Competition climbing is absolutely savage.
It is indeed, and Adam Ondra is a man who knows all about comp climbing. He's been on the circuit for a long time. He's made no secret of how important it is to him to get into the Olympics, and this is his first chance. So Adam underway with 4, in 5th place as it stands, and quickly through that bottom section. Smooth climbing as he rests on an undercling with a straight arm, standing on those big balls down low.
He said on his social media that he was able to get into a good mindset and climb quite well on the lead, which got him into 6th place after the semi-finals. He said it's time to rest now and get ready for the real fight on Saturday. So this is the real fight. He's been very clever about choosing which events to do this year, not doing the full season. He doesn't need experience, that is for sure. He's a previous world champion in both lead and Boulder, but we have seen him make mistakes in this competition, and he needs the climb of his life to get into that top 3 tonight.
He does. He's got 4 minutes 40 to do it, and he quickly into this first shakeout position. I've corrected myself from saying rests by now, because it really isn't. It implies that the athletes can get something back. No real something to be gained from here. It's just a moment to shake, try to get some of the pump. And he's reaching up high into the 30. And immediately gets those toes in.
You can see his arm is really straight. He's looking very, very comfortable right now. He needs to climb very, very consciously and considered in order to not slip up. The holds that we are looking at right now, many of them being dual texture, so where his hands are, there is texture on the hold, but if he were to stand on the shiny part of the hold, his foot would probably slip, so he has to be very deliberate in his foot and hand placements throughout this section.
So Adam moves up to the top spots, 129.1 his total at the moment. Good Boulder score from him added to that lead, and Adam will shake out once more before going up into the undercling.
We see Adam take a lot of micro shakes and micro rests, really trying to climb as efficiently as he can. He's so good on his heels. He's incredibly flexible through his hips and his legs to be able to make the most out of the holds that are on the wall.
So he's back up. Now this is where Dohyun got the high heel, and Adam's done the same thing, which is fine. But as we know, maybe dropping it down and campusing through is the best way.
Yeah, I think we'll see him take the clip from this position potentially, and I also think he'll have the reach.
Oh, he falls. He was reaching up and he goes down.
He's the current lead world champion. We know he's in the shape of his life with lead by his own admission in the interview I got to do with him after the lead finals. So Jakob, I think, all focus on himself, as it should be, because only he can get to the top of that route. He's the only one who can influence his score right now. Nothing else matters other than this climb in Jakob's mind right now.
Yeah, and he's right up there on that scoreboard. Look, he's already in fourth. So Jakob has this opportunity to make a big impression now. Moves up into third already as he's into the scoring. So Jakob, and he waits for that clip there for a second, but gets it in now. Jakob Schubert has this in his own hands. He's got his destiny there now, and can he push through? He's already up into third.
Yeah, he's moving so smoothly. I've talked about him being the current world champion. He's not just the current world champion. He's been world champion before in lead climbing. He had the Boulder round of his life earlier on with such a great score. Hopefully he isn't feeling the fatigue from that, and he can put in a performance that the crowd really want to see right now. This is going to be a very tense moment as Jakob moves up the wall, looking comfortable and focused and determined. All eyes in this stadium are on Jakob Schubert right now.
Well, there are over 7,000 eyes on him. 7,000 people got tickets for this. A huge moment. And Jakob's looking comfortable. He kind of danced his way out. And at some point, I think he might start to really enjoy this when he gets flowing.
He is looking comfortable, but like you said, when he gets flowing, maybe not looking as flowy as we've seen him previously, looking to carry a little bit of tension, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because these moves are so hard. The athletes need to be climbing precisely, and often that can come across as maybe slightly jolty movements. Jakob resting here, breathing deep, really controlled. This is a position he knows so well. He trains so hard on the end of a rope. Coming from Innsbruck with one of the most incredible training facilities that there is out there, he is an experienced athlete and he is working so hard to get better and better, keeping up with the young guns time and time and time again.
All right, so Adam micro shaking his way, flew a flick of the wrist, gets the heel locked in. Jakob Schubert going upwards. Left hand in, gets the heel, comes up into the undercling.
And you can see here that there's a very good hold, but he's probably not going to hang around on it too much because this next move is quite dynamic and the foot placements are not great. The crowd's starting to cheer Jakob as he nears the high point. He has moved through that so quickly, not choosing to rest. I think he'll know now that that was the high point if he's even listening to the crowd, but he's suddenly just moving and stepped up a gear in how fast he's climbing. We've been told that there are no rest positions on this headwall. Jakob hasn't taken a rest yet. He's done a couple of micro shakes, but he's climbing so fast. Look at the clock, just under 3 minutes to get to this last section, and there are not many moves left to go.
He's got a quick draw in underneath. We're counting the scores here. He's currently in the first position, but he hasn't made that clip yet, and he does fall. So 183.6 Jakob's result. We wait for the provision, and he knows. I think he knows. So scores on the doors. Jakob Schubert leading the way, 183.6, followed by Adam with that surprising slip, 141. Then Dohyun Lee, then Jenft, and the rest to climb.
Like we said, Tomoa tends to prefer bouldering. He's been much more successful in boulder competitions, but that doesn't mean that he can't get a spot here tonight.
I know there's a camera team who is watching Jakob Schubert because things might be decided in the next couple of minutes. It's all down to Tomoa now. Let's see what he can do. From Japan, incredible athlete, has been on the scene for a while, and so experienced, and I love watching him climb. So let's see what he can do with this route. Out towards the right, then back to the left after he gets through this initial section. And he's into the points. 5 on the board so far, now up to 6, and you'll see that blue score on the left change as well. That's his total. Positive climbing so far, going for these moves.
But we saw him do quite a dynamic move there, flick his foot up. We talked about high-risk climbing. It can play in his favour. A little fumble of the clip there, maybe climbing too quickly, but you saw as he went into this next section, we've seen other athletes try to decide how to hold the hold. Tomoa not slowing down at all. He's made his mind up about how he wants to climb, what beta he wants to use, what sequence of holds, and he just motors through it. Pausing to clip, of course, as he needs to, but very rarely changing his pace. He shakes very quickly, he chalks very quickly, but he is really accurate with his foot placements and his hand placements, and his contact strength is just incredible. And we already see him at 4:30 hitting that 30 hold here, and he just moves straight through it, no shaking. He hasn't clipped, he comes back to clip. Luckily, he saw that before climbing down, and we see his wife, Akio Noguchi, one of the most accomplished competition climbers in the world, an Olympic medalist, has retired from competition like myself, but great to see her cheering her husband on, Tomoa.
All right, Tomoa drops down. He's done the down climb, and as thought, he's pretty speedy through here. Gets the toe in for a shake, and now he moves up to 2nd position. So 141.7 his current score. Left foot on the no-tex there for a sec, but he got through it. And he does a big throw. That was more spectacular. That's what we were expecting, and cuts loose. Whacks in a heel.
But he hasn't got that lower clip. He slips. I think the fact that he didn't have that clip in really didn't help him.
React down at the front with a big fist bump off camera. So let's focus on Colin Dufy here, the USA athlete. Comes up with the left hand. Up he goes with the left sloper. He's on 183.6. We think that's enough. Yes, he is. I've just got confirmation of that. So Jakob is through. How exciting.
You never trust me, Matt. You never trust my maths.
It's not you, Shauna. I promise you that.
Kidding,
it's because I will get murdered if something's appealed or something.
That's why I say it.
Exactly. But Jakob is through.
But
awesome.
This guy right here, he can earn his Olympic ticket. Things are still open. To be sure, he needs to beat Jakob's score, which he can do, but he needs to be right up there at the top on those very last holds. I think he actually needs to get to the last hold, if not the one just before. I'm pretty sure the last hold, if he wants to be 100% certain of it, but he can also come just below that. If he beats Tomoa's score, then he can be bumped around. Lots can change here, so all eyes on Colin, because this is his moment to try and earn his ticket.
So Colin is underway, and he goes up. He hasn't made that clip yet. We've seen it's possible from that position. We just have it there, right by his hips. Casual stuff from Colin. Chalks up and launches again and cuts loose. But a big bump here, and he's trying to work out where to put his feet. Had a moment there where he was considering where to go. Got the heel in eventually. Flicks them again onto the jib. Colin brings his foot down, pressing with the left foot.
Colin maybe not looking as calm as we've seen him, especially at the beginning of the Boulder round, but that is no surprise. The pressure is on. If he wants that ticket tonight, he has a lot of work to do here. He is climbing smoothly. That's not what I'm trying to say, but not looking as calm as we've seen him. Maybe that's a good thing. Nerves aren't necessarily bad. You can use nerves to aid your performance, and Colin needs the performance of his life right now. He's opting for a slightly different sequence. I thought he might be about to miss the clip. He looked up, gets that in, and now we'll see him take his feet down. Not the way we've seen other athletes do it, but really smart climbing.
Yeah, he made it work for him. And he's almost at the lowest point of this down climb. And he'll go towards the right. and turns his hands there, and he's got a really high foot. Colin sideways on the wall, and he has dropped that down now, maybe just using it to readjust as he crosses the feet through. I think he's started to get pumped here. He cuts loose again. Has a heel in, comes to the undercling. Watch the scoreboard. He's still not in the top 3.
He's still making moves very deliberately, but those adjustments that he was making, moving his feet around, are going to be zapping his energy. He gets this flip, though, which is really crucial ahead of this big move here, and he does it casually. He reached up really in great tension, but he does have the high heel.
Yeah, I mean, he can use it to rest, sure, but please drop it, Colin, if you want to progress, or he's going to have to do a monster move to go around that leg. And he's struggling with this clip too. It's awkward. Gets it in now.
As you saw him flag his left leg down, slight pressure on the wall to aid his movement to make that clip more efficient. Smart climbing again from him, but what will we see here? He takes his heel off, campuses up just as the route setters intended, and the crowd go wild.
Yeah, so figuring it out from Colin Dufy. This is a great fight from the young man. Left hand. Oh, and he hits the next hold too.
But starting to fight hard here right now.
Oh, he is, and he's gone there, isn't he? Well, he's in the top 3 currently, so he's done enough at the moment, and only just, though.
Beyond where we thought was possible on a head wall. He said on his Instagram just how much he enjoys being in that space. He said that the crowd felt electric and he was able to execute and enjoy the route to the max. Nothing like fighting hard on a head wall. Combined, let's go. So let's see it, Toby.
What can he do? Crosses through with the left. He'll need to keep it together down low. Remember, and I am dreaming dramatic, but hey, it's my job. He did drop that move in lead, so he has made mistakes sometimes.
We've seen him make big mistakes, and only in this competition because the pressure is on. It's piled on hard, and we've seen Toby not do moves, very dynamic moves. There aren't any dynamic moves in here, but we've seen other athletes like Ondra making big mistakes and slips, athletes that are very experienced. Toby, on his first full season this year, still only 18 years old. What a moment for him in his career, as well as some of the other younger athletes that are, well, one younger athlete that is yet to come.
Yeah, Sorato will be last out. Toby comes up to the pinch. So far, so good for him. Up towards the 10. The cut loose we're expecting here. Good climbing from Toby. Precise with the feet.
We know that this route is a resistance style route, so as the athletes climb through, no big obvious resting positions, micro shakes available, and having to just keep pushing and pushing and fighting all the way as far as you possibly can. We also know that this route is hopefully toppable. I say we know, the route setters expect that it is. In the semi-finals round, we saw Toby and Jakob both top the route. So if we want to see a top, all eyes on Toby and Sorato, because they are our last 2 athletes. This event is almost over, but right now, Toby is the one on the wall, and this is his moment to get that ticket here in Bern.
Yeah, and he's moving up the scoreboard. He's in 6th at the moment. Crosses through to the high pinch. Hold 42, what we're looking for, mathematically, for Toby to get in, and he's nearing that mark. So that he needs to get to the scoring zone of 42. If it's less than that, Colin's in. That's what we're being told. So he's got the toe down low, and he has to do this down climb sequence first of all.
So in this section here, he's getting 3 points per hold, and then in the next section, we'll see him get more. He does a big flick here, not looking comfortable, unexpected from Toby. I think this is a route reading error. He needs to come down, reset himself. That was really not great for Toby. Hopefully he can make a good recovery because he's not far off that spot, but a surprise there from Toby.
Yeah, he tried to get the toe about 3 times before he readjusted. Now he's got a heel in.
He's got a heel, but he's got the right heel, which is not what we've seen other athletes do. He's making it work for him, but he's starting to look a little bit pumped, I would say. He's got a long way to go on this climb if he wants to give the fight of his life, but suddenly starting to look composed as he shakes out. I hope we can see Toby give a good fight. That was an unfortunate mistake, but this is competition climbing.
Yeah, he's in 5th at the moment. 130 is his score. Makes the next clip, and he's coming up to this awkward move now. Will he be able to spot it? It is a big one. Has he got the power in the left arm? He's cutting loose like Tomoa did. And then he's going straight for the campus, and he hits it. Got something left here, has Toby Roberts.
What a fight. He is really pushing hard here. Great climbing from Toby. He sets up, he bumps, he just misses that hold. That is not going to be enough, I don't think. He's currently outside of the top 3 if the results are refreshed with 143.3.
Well, Colin is getting congratulated because he is through guaranteed, and he can't believe that. He does it again for him as well. That's 2
of that top 3. His teammate. Oh, it's
like
all
Lion
to
King
play for.
The old lion replaced.
It's so hard because there are moments of disappointment and disbelief, and it's just so pure.
It is, right. Sorato is out. What can this man do? Just 16. He'll keep his composure, I reckon. He has throughout the competition. Score of 85 in Boulder. Hold 39 minimum needed for Sorato for qualification. If not, Tomoa is in. Skipping over to the right there. Bumps in with the left. Good work from Sorato. Will be somewhat poetic if he pushes Tomoa out, won't it? It would just be that story, that progression of athletes. Tomoa will be down there, obviously cheering his teammate on, but also, I mean, such a conflict in emotions for him. It must be. There he is. He's calm. He's not giving anything away in his face in that shot.
It's a hard position to be, and I do think these athletes, they all want each other to perform to their best and see where they're at against their peers. Not to forget that there are 2 spots per nation available. There are other chances, but walking away with the ticket tonight really changes how the athletes set up and approach towards the games. It is huge. It really does change things, and it matters.
It does matter. All right. He twists in with that right foot. He'll make a big clip up and then go into the underclings above his head. We know there's an opportunity to shake up there, so he's, oh, that's a big cut loose. He's feeling a bit pumped here. He should be able to get something back on this shake, you'd think.
He's looking calm and collected, as he often does, very rarely seeming to fluster. Really smooth climbing from him so far.
Yeah, accurate on that undercling as well. He approaches the big blue hold, and then he'll drop down from there as he gets the right hand up and cuts loose for a moment.
And let's not forget, we've talked about Jakob being the lead world champion and expecting big things from him on the wall. Sorato is the vice world champion. He finished in 2nd place, taking home that silver. So big things expected right now on your screen, and it is the last climb of this entire event. A huge event, an incredible event, and this is the last moment for the crowd. No route reading errors from Sorato here. He puts that toe in, slight little adjustment as he flicks up that next hold, putting the heel in and seeming really in control still.
Yeah, he moves up to 6th, 130 his total score. He's looking for 156.7 if he wants to move into the Olympics. And of course, stand on the podium and get a medal. There's that as well, worth remembering.
Well, that's all he's here for. He doesn't care about the Olympics. That's a bonus, remember. This is Sorato's moment to take a world championship gold. And that is exactly what he wants to do. This guy is 16 years old, his first year on the circuit. What a moment for him right now.
Well, that's where he needs to get to. You saw the circle on the wall. I cannot imagine Team Japan down at the front. They're going through some things tonight. Up with the right. And I can't wait to see what he does with this. Will he read it properly? Will he get the high heel in? Left hand up.
A huge twist there. His left hip almost touching his right hand. A big campus move. He sets up, but he looks so controlled and composed. He's climbing accurately. Can he make this bump?
He's into 4th, but he slips. So, Tomoa Narasaki stays. I said the old line is in. Awesome from Tomoa. So congratulations to our top 3 and all the rest of the athletes. Jakob Schubert, 183.6. Victory for him. Colin Dufy, 160.7 and 156.7 for Tomoa Narasaki. That's our top 3. Then Sorato Anraku, he came so close, but wasn't enough tonight. He'll fight again. He's in 4th. Toby Roberts 5th. Then Adam Ondra in 6th. Dohyun Lee in 7th. And finally, Paul Jenft in 8th. 102.8, his total score. Crazy.
Jakob, come on, how are you feeling right now?
I don't know, this is crazy. It feels kind of like lead. It all went so fast. I don't know, I mean, today was a big day, obviously. I knew I had to do really well in bouldering to have a chance for that Olympic ticket, and the bouldering round couldn't have been any better for me. I think my big goal was going in with a lead to the lead, and that was just like basically already a dream coming true, and then it was all about keeping my nerves under control, and I think I did a good job doing that in the lead route.
I'd say you did more than a good job. You did an incredible job keeping your composure. Can you explain how you felt walking onto that lead wall just before you pulled on?
Well, to be honest, back in ISO and walking out, I didn't really feel that nervous yet. The route looked cool. I was just psyched to climb, and I was able to basically shut everything down, what this is all about and all that. We're like at a World Championship, and it's about the Olympic ticket.
No big deal, right?
Yeah, I was just like going to have fun on the lead route, but I have to say, on the route, there were like a few sketchy parts, like smearing on volumes, sometimes kind of okay holds where somehow I was able to think, which you usually don't want to. So I had some things going through my mind while I was climbing, and I'm really happy I was able to control it and get a good fight on the route, and it's crazy there was even enough for the title.
And the feeling when you realised that you had that Olympic spot, an Olympian already, but we know that Paris has been your goal. How did it feel when you realised in that moment?
To be honest, I don't really feel like I've actually realised it yet. I don't know, it feels like there hasn't been that much time to think about it. I was more focused on the route. I really wanted to see like a super nice performance from Sorato. He's such a good climber, and I'm kind of sad I feel like he wasn't able to show his best today, because I feel like he's the best combined climber right now. Today I had my day, but we're definitely going to see him at the Olympics, and there's still a lot to process. It's just, I think for an older climber like me, this is amazing. I can focus on just the preparation for the Olympics, calm a bit down, don't have to do all the comps next year, because I'm getting tired of doing a lot of comps, so this just works out perfectly.
Jakob, it's a true privilege to speak to you. Thank you so much. It's also an honour to watch you on the wall. Today was your day. Yes, you maybe think other climbers are the best in the world, but you have that gold medal today and the Olympic ticket. Thanks for speaking to us, and a huge congratulations.
Thank you so much. You guys are amazing.
Well, that's our stadium. And the crowd are not going anywhere at the moment. They are waiting for the podiums where they will cheer the athletes on at the front. And Shauna is down on the left. In fact, she's found our next athlete, so let's go down to her. So, yeah, Colin Dufy has been found. Let's go to Shauna Coxsey.
Colin, congratulations. Wow, what a performance. We know that you fought so hard in semi-finals, and you talked about finding your flow. You did that here tonight. How did it feel to be on that wall in front of this crowd?
It felt amazing. I was just honored to be on this stage. Being in the World Championship combined final is this is probably the most difficult and proud final that I've ever made, and I just wanted to go into today and enjoy the climbing and not care about the results, and I was able to enjoy every second on the wall, every boulder, and then stayed calm on the lead route. And I'm very happy to be standing here with another Olympic spot.
Did you expect to walk away from this event with that Olympic ticket?
Absolutely not. I almost didn't make the combined. I didn't perform how I wanted in the boulder in the lead portion of the competition, and I squeaked in the last spot I could to make the semi-final. But I made the most of it and kept going, and I'm just so happy. You
sure did make the most of it. You are in the top 3. You're on the combined podium. You've got that Olympic ticket. I hope you get to celebrate tonight. Are you gonna celebrate?
Absolutely, yeah.
Good to know. Good luck with the rest of the season. You don't need to worry about anything but Paris now. Thank you for speaking to us, and a huge congratulations again.
Thank you very much, Shauna.
Thank you to Colin Dufy. Awesome performance from him. Well, Tomoa has been found, so let's head down and speak to Tomoa Narasaki.
Tomoa, a massive congratulations. It felt like there was so much pressure on you tonight. Did you feel the pressure when you were climbing?
すごいプレッシャーの中での大会だったと思うんですけど、どうでしたか？ まずやっぱり本当にプレッシャーが大きかったっていうのはありますね。で、でも今シーズン本当になかなかうまくいっていなかったので、もうここは最後は、自分を信じてやるしかないと思って頑張りました。
At first, I'm so feel pressure, but training. So I believe by myself.
And your wife, Akio, is here with you. What does that mean to have her here and watch you get that Olympic ticket? Akio is here. What does it mean to have Akio here?
奥さんの明夫さんが今回ここにいて、オリンピックのチケットをゲットしたことに関してどう思いますか？
本当に自分以上に緊張してるんじゃないかなっていうぐらいで、すごく応援してくれてたので、その明夫の前で、その表彰台に立てたのはすごく嬉しいです。
Maybe she feel so pressure than more than I. So anyway, I'm so happy to in front of her get a Paris Olympic ticket.
We saw how emotional you felt on that stage. A huge congratulations. We can't wait to see you in Paris. Thank you so much.
もう本当に私自身もすごい感動しました。もうとにかく本当にパリオリンピックおめでとう。
ありがとうございます。Thank you.
Congratulations to all those three, and of course to everyone who did compete. And I'll take this opportunity to thank everyone behind the scenes